Hello there, Drew Hanish of Whiskey Lore, and today I'm not doing a whiskey tasting. Actually, I am doing a video about glassware and which glassware is the best to drink out of. Now, the two pieces of glassware that I've probably enjoyed drinking out of the most are my Copita, which is something that I learned about from Richard Patterson when I was in Scotland. He called it the Master Distiller's drinking glass. I understand why, because it has become a personal favorite of mine. The glassware that you will find in most places, the one that most people are familiar with in terms of, beyond a tumbler or something like that, is the Glencairn Glass. And this is a very iconic shape now for whiskey glasses. But while I was in Ireland, I bumped into this, which is a Túath glass. And you'll see it's a lot bigger, actually, than the Copita or the Glencairn. And it has this very interesting feature at the top where it kind of blows out and has a big lip up at the top, which is similar to the old Sam Adams beer drinking glasses that were specifically designed to try to bring the aromas of the beer up to your nose. Now, I got this glass while I was in Ireland. For those of you that don't know, I did a tour of Ireland where I went to over 40 distilleries in 24 days to learn all about the Irish whiskey industry, and a lot of that stuff I'll impart here during the episodes. But you may notice that I started pushing out some videos from my trip to Ireland, and that I was planning on doing nosings and tastings each evening of some of the whiskeys that I got while I was on my trip. However, I did not have good glassware to drink out of on the trip. And you would think that, you're going to taste it, you're going to nose it as best you can. You're going to get away with maybe at least being able to give a little bit of information. But I got frustrated. I got very frustrated because, as you saw in the first video that I did, I was drinking out of a tumbler, and it's like, I just can't nose it, but I can taste it. And the problem that I have with not being able to nose a whiskey is that nosing is a major part of the process for me. And if a whiskey is really spot on, I actually prefer the nose sometimes more than I prefer the sipping. To me, the nose is something that you can just really enjoy, and you don't have to be in a rush with it. Whereas once you get it on your palate, it's like, oh man, calculate what is all the stuff that's going on right now. And me and my ADD, it's like I'll catch something there, I catch something there. And so you have to take multiple sips. Plus, to me, the nose and the mouth work together. So if you've lost the sense of smell, then the sense of taste is not going to be 100% complete. Not the best optimal experience. So when I got the Túath glass, I was excited because I said, all right, now I got a glass that I can work with while I'm on this trip, because it says that it is a glass that was not only shaped to kind of be an inspiration of Ireland. The base here is supposed to remind you of the Skellig Michael, which is the mountain that is actually an island just off the Ring of Kerry, where, if you've seen the Star Wars series, it's where Luke Skywalker goes to get away from it all. It has the steps to the top there, and all that stuff. So anyway, that's the kind of the inspiration there of the base of this. And then we have this lip thing up at the top. Now, I understand it for beer, because with beer, you're going to fill the glass probably that tall, and you're going to have the head is going to be right here. So when you put your nose to it and you smell that beer and you're going in for your sip, you are right there getting the foam that's at the top. It kind of, and I don't know. I guess it makes a difference. I don't know with beer. I mean, I do like drinking out of my Sam Adams glass. I think it does have a good effect for the beer, but I mean, I don't know how much it really truly improves, because I'm not a noser and taster of beer. Beer tells you what it is, you drink it, and you're done. These I want to investigate. So what I wanted to do here was I wanted to kind of give you my thoughts on the nosing of whiskey as well as the tasting out of these particular glasses. Now, I love the Copita. Okay, to me, the Copita is going to give you all of the scents concentrated on your nose. If you look at the design of that glass, and all three of these have the exact same amount of liquid in them. Look at how it's actually pushing the liquid up closer to the top of the glass, and how small that area of the glass is. So when I nose this whiskey, my nostrils are right over where that scent is coming up, which is, to me, perfect. So I'm going to grade this one as a 100% in terms of the amount of scent that I get in. If I get more scent out of these others, I'll go over 100%. But I'm really convinced that the Copita is the optimal way to nose a whiskey, because there's just not enough room for things to escape. It's going straight to your nose, and your nose is covering your nostrils are covering at least 50% of that opening. So very hard for something to escape from there. We go to the Glencairn that everybody likes to drink out of, and while I was doing my tours, anytime I ran into a Glencairn, I had never really ran into a Copita, but I would run into the Glencairns. Sometimes the smaller ones too. The smaller ones are great to nose out of. You still pull in the scents on here pretty strongly. And if you look at the way that this glass is designed, a lot of your vapors are probably going to collect down here in the sides. They're not going to be pushed up quite as fast. And if you look at the size of the glass from the base, you'll notice that the Glencairn is not only taller, but because of how wide the bottom is, and not overly wide, the liquid is actually further away from your nose. So again, you're not going to have an optimal experience. And let's pull it up to the nose and look. Okay, now my nostrils are covering probably a third of the opening at the top. But it's still vapor coming straight up. And so to me, this is about an 80% experience versus the 100% of the Copita in the nosing. And nosing has always been a little weak for me. I mean, some whiskeys are so powerful on the nose that they just come right up out of the glass, and you don't even have to be near it, and it's all there. But there's other whiskeys that they're so subtle, especially older whiskeys, that you almost have to bury your nose in the glass to be able to find it. So I don't want any kind of hindrance to me being able to get to those scents. So as I say, this is probably about an 80% versus 100% smell out of that glass. So how does the Túath, this new glass, stand up versus these two? Well, I'm going to tell you what happened while I was on my trip. I got so excited when I got this glass, and then I tried to nose and taste my first whiskey, and you saw by my earlier video from Tullamore that I was basically taking home not full samples, but I was taking home half samples, and so I was nowhere close to having this much liquid in there. I probably had a third of that or less. So it was really a challenge. It would have been a challenge in this. It became a major challenge in this, because let's go ahead and look at the difference between these two. From the base to where the liquid actually is, look at the distance, all right? So we're already losing some space there. And then look at the top and see how much that we're actually losing in terms of, it's putting the liquid really far from your nose. And so here's what I ended up doing. I would go, okay, I can't smell anything. All right. No, now I'm just smelling. Now it's not straight over my nose. The vapors are not going straight up. I'm forcing the vapors now to where they're kind of going that way. And so, and then there's another issue here, is this lip. I don't get this lip, okay? I understand it makes the glass pretty, but when I put my nose to the glass, look where my nostrils are facing. They're facing into the curve. They're not facing where the actual liquid is. So then you have to actually kind of put your lip on the glass to try to, get it. At least you kind of surround it. It looks stupid. It's like, oh, it's just falling into my glass. Actually, I probably should have done that because I actually am starting to get some smell out of there. I would say that on this, I'm probably getting 30% of the scent of the whiskey. Now, if I shove my face down in it and I'm covering the hole, then all of a sudden I can start to pull a little bit more of that scent in. I probably get to about 50 or 60%. But that's just a really weird way to have to nose a whiskey. So, I wasn't overly pleased with this glass. And if you're going to Ireland and this is the glass they're going to present you with on tours, which I doubt they're going to do because these are expensive, got to be expensive glasses. I don't know how much they charge for them, but I mean, there's a lot of glass to this. Like I say, it's a nice looking design. If I was just casually sipping a Jameson and I just didn't care about nose and the rest, then sure. I mean, it's a decent glass to drink out of. But to put it in a nosing and tasting experience, it just falls a little flat. And like I say, it's just too much room down here for this liquid to get lost and the vapors to get lost, and then too big an opening at the top because you'll see, I mean, look at the opening difference between those. It is amazing. And when I put my nose over there, I mean, I'm getting a quarter to maybe a third of the space there, and then my nostrils pointed at the wrong spot. So I don't know why there's a discussion that this would be an optimal drinking glass for nosing and tasting, because I don't believe it is. However, I will say this. I just saw online on Instagram that at the Dublin Whisky Live that's going on this weekend, this company is going to be out there displaying these glasses, and they had a photo of one with a long stem that had this little curved top to it, but it looked like it was a smaller glass. And if that is the case, I'm still not a big fan of this little, fold out lip on the glass. But if it is a little bit more moderated, then imagine this with a curved out. At least now I can still keep my lip below the glass and still get it over the top. And maybe if the opening is a little bit smaller, it'll concentrate more of the scents to the top. So I'm not going to dismiss the Túath glass 100%. It will be a glass that's there when I'm probably drinking something that I don't care to nose, but just want to drink. And so I'll use it like a tumbler, basically. Because a tumbler, you think about the way a tumbler is, it's basically, your nose is probably covering a tenth of the space. And so it's just letting vapor out, willy-nilly. And that's why a tumbler is not a really good glass to use if you want a tasting and nosing experience. But if you just want to drink the liquid, then it will be fine. So I wouldn't put anything into one of these that you really want to get in there and get to know. But again, if you just want to drink out of something, then maybe it's good for that. But we'll see what this new glass looks like, and hopefully it's much more like the Copita, and then I might get very interested in it. If you guys tasted out of the Túath glasses, what do you think? Or do you see what I'm talking about? Is there a favorite drinking glass you have that I haven't covered here? go ahead and leave comments down below and give me a like if you enjoyed the video and if this was informative for you in any way, shape, or form. I would love to have you subscribe, and we'll do more videos down the road. Until next time, I gotta drink a whiskey while I'm doing this, but I'm telling you, the winner is the Copita. Cheers and Slainte. Yes.